The Tri-Slosher is a short-range, lightweight slosher that boasts impressive mobility and ink efficiency. However, it doesn't have the best overall damage, and its range may make you feel like you're too short to reach anything.
Hello. Hi. Captain Astro, what are you doing here? Did you get lost?
But in the right hands, the Tri-Slosher is truly
okay.
an invincible, top-tier weapon. It's the bucket of champions. It's got an incredibly sleek design. It's a very sexy weapon. Using it increases your girth by 20% on average.
Okay, time to leave. Thank you very much. Everybody say thank you and bye-bye to Captain Astro. Time for him to go back to their care home so we can talk about how to get the most out of the Tri-Slosher. Oh my god, I did not think he would say that in my video. Stats. The Tri-Slosher only does 100 per direct hit, which makes it the weakest in its class. It also rather unfortunately suffers with fall-off decay, meaning the longer your slosh is in the air before hitting its target, the less damage it does. The minimum damage you can inflict is 60. One of the downsides of the weapon is that it's quite noticeable when you're faced with fall-off decay. This forces you to be very close to your enemies. The Tri-Slosher is also the shortest range slosher, which again forces you to be up close to your enemies. It also forces you to get comfortable with map layouts so you can find advantageous angles and safe places to attack from. I'll talk about this later in the video, but it's something to always keep in mind with this weapon. To make up for these deficits, the Tri-Slosher is a lightweight weapon, meaning you swim faster and, generally speaking, have better mobility. It also has the fastest fire rate, the quickest cooldown after firing, so for what you neglect in outright power and range, you make up for in ink efficiency, mobility, and fire rate. This allows you to relocate around maps with ease and lets you escape situations quicker than most other weapons in the game. Consecutive sloshes take approximately 23 frames, the fastest of all sloshers. Your paint is fine too. You can paint for yourself, and I think that's really important if you're a weapon that needs to get around a map quickly. Given that the weapon is called Tri-Slosher, you'll be correct in assuming that you actually fire in 3 different directions, 1 in front of you and 2 to each side. You can refill your ink tank really quickly, and this means you can throw bombs really easily, but more on that later. You get so many sloshes per full ink tank, and even after throwing a bomb, you're left with quite a few. Boss slaying. Even though shot for shot it's the weakest slosher, the Tri-Slosher is still mostly okay at dealing with all bosses, with the main exceptions being anything that requires range or any bosses that have really high HP. Steelheads may pose the biggest issue, depending what map you're on. On some maps you can use height and platforms to give you extra verticality, but others you'll struggle a bit more. The weapon is fast, but you may need to jump to give you that extra height. You can one-cycle them, provided you hit 3 directs. Steel eels, flipper floppers, slamming lids and scrappers are all fine for the Tri-Slosher to take care of independently. You'll need to climb fish sticks to take care of them, but it's relatively quick work if you can get the stick painted quick enough. Moors and flyfish aren't too problematic as you've got an ink tank that doesn't struggle generating bombs quickly. You should keep an eye on these as more often than not you'll be best suited to take care of these. Stingers too, as you're able to quickly run out to get to them. The Tri-Slosher may struggle against bosses like big shots, drizzlers and multiple cohocks. I'll talk more about how to manage lessers in a later point, but you should always shoot drizzler torpedoes back when able, as this nullifies the drizzler attack and allows you to one-shot them. For big shots, well, you may need specials, but oftentimes you'll do better when you go with a friend and tag team any crowds of bosses at the big shot cannons. The same can be said for king waves. You'll likely not be the player directly attacking the kings all the time, but rather running around the map, controlling spawns and generating eggs for your teammates. The Tri-Slosher is excellent at all night waves. For rush or glowflies, you can take extremely aggressive filtering positions to take care of most of the chum coming through. For grillers, you can aim your shots to hit both the grillers and the small fry simultaneously. And for the rest, your mobility and ability to spam bombs and eggs makes you extremely useful and versatile. See what is missing and try to fill the gap. Weapon role. Your role within most comps will likely be focused around supporting. You won't always find that you're the best suited to outright slaying. It's possible to take that role, but you'll struggle against bosses that require range and bosses that have high HP. Missed cycles and time spent inflicting damage will all stack up and you'll soon find yourself pressed for time. Saying that, freelance will sometimes force you into this role. It's important that you remember your limitations with the Tri-Slosher and use specials if you find yourself spending too much time in one place. The Tri-Slosher is the only lightweight slosher currently in the game. This means that it swims and moves faster than any other non-lightweight weapon. This also means that, generally speaking, it has better ink efficiency, usually recovering ink faster and being able to get more out of a full ink tank. This includes utilising splat bombs, which should absolutely be incorporated into the way you play. They give range where you have little, extra damage when needed against higher HP enemies, and extra paint should you find yourself needing it, either for yourself or for your teammates. You've got the ink tank to be throwing bombs and eggs, and you shouldn't forget this necessary role within a squad. All of this adds up to an excellent supporting role within most comps. You can be everywhere rather quickly, you can help with damaging multiple enemies at once, and you've always got ink to spare to help with paint or throwing eggs. I think it's important to look at the positives with all weapons. The Tri-Slosher really shines when you look to help everybody on your team instead of making yourself the main character. Area of effect. All sloshers should utilise and maximise their ability to hit multiple targets at once. Though the Tri-Slosher has the shortest range, it is still capable of arcing its shots above and over enemies and being able to damage enemies from unconventional angles. The issue with the Tri then comes down to its fall-off damage. Because you lose damage the longer the slosh is in the air before it hits the target, you want to make sure you limit this as much as possible. Jumping helps, and taking higher positions does too. This also helps mitigate some of the issues you'll have with range too, most notably against steelheads like we've mentioned. You may not be able to kill all enemies independently, but you'll be able to contribute to a team effort, and the area of effect, its AoE, is a huge benefit for your team. Instead of only hitting one enemy at a time, you want to try and hit many different targets each time you fire. This becomes extremely beneficial against groups of lessers and allows you to get through them quicker than you otherwise would. Rather than attacking something from the front like you would do with a shooter, for example, you should aim to hit the enemies from the side or above them. This is what makes all sloshers so useful and versatile in SalmonRun, as you're able to get more damage out of every slosh when compared to weapons that have no AoE spread. The Tri-Slosher is such a good weapon for lesser control, and to ignore this is to waste its potential. Thank you so much to Captain Astro for hijacking my video. As a reward, if you would like to watch me sniping him out of the sky, here's that.
Toxic Mist, a sub-weapon that does not work half the time. An Inkjet, which in the right hands can be game-changing, but in my hands I activate it and then I get sniped immediately. Thank you, Rachel Ski.
But also I'd recommend watching the whole video. It's a really good video about Splatoon 3. And also, if you don't know who he is, where are you? He's the funniest person on YouTube, and I'd really recommend him. And thank you for watching. I hope this video helps you appreciate the Tri-Slosher a little bit more. I'll see you guys soon.